We're back again for another Bar Conversations, and they say the third time's a charm, and hopefully I will say his name correctly. You know, it's one of those ones, as some of my co-hosts know on some of the other shows we do, I have a way with words, and with what I'm drinking tonight, we'll see if I can also say that as well. He's the host of Sportsman Channel series Hoge Wild, which just launched Season 6
I know, dude.
At the end of June, and his new album, Book About Me, is out now. Let's welcome back for the third time, one of the few three-peats,
Cheers.
Lucas Hoge.
Cheers to that, man.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. I mean, things are good. Can't complain. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you know, like I said, I've three times in, I can say your last name, Hoge. I know I think I've asked this every other time, but how many different variations of that do you get?
Oh, my gosh. The airport's the worst. Every time somebody says my name, they either put a U in it or put a D in it, and I'm like, yeah, none of those.
So how do they get that? Like,
I don't know,
not even
man.
in there.
I'm like, I don't see how they get Hoge. Hoagie, yes, I can see how they get Hoagie, and then that's pretty much it. It's Hoge and Hoagie. That's it.
Oh man, but the Hodge is bad. Like I don't
Yeah,
think I've
it's
gone
bad.
Hodge, and that's saying something because I have a way with words. So
Yeah, exactly.
now this is Bar Conversations. I want to say one of the last times we talked, you were getting into some Uncle Nearest rye,
Oh, yeah.
some wine.
There's some sitting on the counter right back there.
See, and that'll go along with what I'm drinking. But what are you drinking tonight? What's your go-to drink these days?
Man, I'm drinking Comisario tequila. So these guys sent me a box of the Reposado, the Añejo, and the Blanco. This is their new Blanco, and for my album release. And I'm gotta say, the album release was not that long ago, and the bottle is almost empty. It's pretty good.
So you're enjoying it, is what I'm hearing. You're enjoying it
Very
every
much.
sip of it.
Every sip.
Now, are you a guy that just likes to try different liquors? Like, you know,
I
as
do.
folks will get to hear as we talk. You travel a lot of places. Do you like try the local beverage of choice in those places? What's kind of your go-to when you do
Absolutely.
when you do travel?
Well, my tequila is definitely my go-to anywhere I go, but a lot of places don't make great tequila, unless you're Mexico. But when I'm in New Zealand or if I go to Belize has actually a really nice rum down there, like a lot of rums. They've got Tiburon rum factory down there, so they're making some great rums, and they just started making tequila as well. And then, over in New Zealand, or we were just in Macedonia actually. I'm a huge wine drinker too, and I love visiting old wineries and stuff like that. Some of the wineries over there are hundreds and hundreds of years old, so it's really cool to walk through these old castles that have these huge, beautiful wine barrels in them, and they've been curating these vines for years and years and years. It's just cool to be around that history.
Well, and for you, because like I said, I know you enjoy when you get into the whiskeys. I think a rye whiskey is kind of maybe where you're at these days. You enjoy a good wine, so I put both of them together. Little Penelope to Kai wine. I think is how you say it. See, I know I was going to screw that one up. I tried to look it up beforehand. It's been a minute.
I can't see the word on it there. Takai? Is that it?
I think so. But see, I think it's a Hungarian wine.
Interesting.
Once dubbed the Wine of Kings by Louis the Ninth or 14th. Can't do Roman numerals, but a little wine, a little rye whiskey. I haven't had that.
Have
much
another
yet.
sip there, bud.
I know. It's like I haven't had that much yet, so this is not a great start. But yeah, as I started out, you've got a new season of Hoge Wild.
Yeah.
You got a new album, Book About Me. What's it like to do two? Not only normally one is enough, but you decided to double that. What's that been like?
That's been a story of my life, man. I can't just go with one career in music and the outdoors. I have to have another career in the outdoors. So I figured we just do everything simultaneously and make it as complicated and as hard as possible, I guess, for my life. But yes, it is definitely complicated and very stressful trying to get the launch of a entire season going and the launch of a record that we haven't done a full record since 2017. And the last record that I did went number one on Billboard country album sales. So, we were hoping to have the same problem happen with this one. But it's a whole different format. We've been releasing single after single after single for the, I don't know, however many, since 2017. And now I was just like, I'm done doing that. I just fed up with it. I don't understand it. And I just love doing records, because this record is literally, it's a book about me. And that's the title track of the song, but it's songs that have, impacted my life and stories that have impacted my life. And I've been fortunate and blessed enough to get to be in a room with people that can help me bring these stories to life. And Justin Lance is probably one of those special songwriters that I wrote a bunch of these tracks with. And he's just a good old Minnesota farm boy, or Montana farm boy, excuse me. And just a great guy, and just knows how to help craft a song.
I was gonna say you like to double up things. I apparently can't talk, so we both tried to do very difficult things at the same time.
Exactly.
You talk about the album, the book about me. It's really, like you said, it's an intimate, almost memoir set to music.
Yep.
Weaving together a lot of your life experiences. What was the primary inspiration behind this, and why did you want to kind of do something like this?
Again, it came down to the simple fact of I was ready to put out a new record, an album, and I wanted it to be not only meaningful to me, but meaningful as an album. When people aren't really releasing albums, it's hard to get that continuity going when you're releasing a single. Every 3 to 4 months, a new single comes out. It's like, okay, it's fine. Keeping the attention span of people, just building on the 3-second attention span. And I'm like, I really wanted to, go back to the records. I used to love buying albums, listening to them front and back, pulling the CD jacket out. Yes, I'm dating myself, but pull the CD jacket out and actually read about the song and learn about it, and learn about who wrote the song, and maybe why they wrote the song, or why they wanted to perform this song if they didn't write the song. And that's kind of what I wanted to do. So that's kind of the whole brainchild behind just wanting to put out a new record. And I wanted it to be, very intimate stories about my life. Every single song on there has something to do with my life and something that happened in my life, so.
Well, and your life is kind of interesting. You talk about it. You're a musician. You're also an outdoorsman. We could say even barn to beach. If you don't have that on a shirt, you should by now.
I'm trying, honestly. That's what's in it's in the press release. It says barn to beach, dude. And I saw this shirt on something came to, I think it was Pinterest or something, because I was looking for new artwork or whatever, and literally this guy came up and it had this beautiful shirt, barn to beach, and it was this old barn, but it was on a beach in the north east, and I'm like, that's a cold beach, I want it a beach, surfing beach. So I was like, can you redraw it? So he's in the process of redrawing it for me, so I'm hoping that I can steal that from him.
Hey, you talk about cold surfing beaches, and as a guy that doesn't travel nearly as much as you do, but I'm trying somehow, some way. My wife and I, with our friends, we have managed to hit the surf capitals of a few places. Costa Rica, one of them.
Yeah.
Down in Oaxaca. Oh my goodness, I can't think of the name right now. But then we went up to British Columbia, and we were on Vancouver Island and Tofino and Eucalypt. And
oh, wow.
We were in the summertime, and it was cold, but they were surfing, man. It was 55-degree water, and they were loving it.
7 mil wetsuits. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Crazy. Costa Rica, if I'm not mistaken, is the only place that has 2 breaks that you can surf both directions. Because usually it's the break, it only breaks one direction. In this particular area, the surf breaks in both directions. If I'm not mistaken.
And the waves come in, unlike most places. You think of the waves, they break and they kind of come in, and they're not terribly high at the beach. No, they're 5, 6, 7 feet at the beach. It's
oh god,
it blew my mind.
And they're surfing on top of lava rock that you fall, you're done. You're toast, man. You're hamburger meat.
But talking about that barn to beach, that those different themes of your life. What's it like to kind of try to weave those together, that, the love of the ocean, love of the land, and things like that?
Man, it really is. It just works, man. I mean, I grew up on that small farm in Nebraska and go back there every chance I get. And if it wasn't for those upraising and those roots that, ground me in everything that I do, I would have never met my wife, Laura, who's a California girl, California red. So... let's make that that stamp right there, California red. And she introduced me to the ocean for the first time. And man, I literally fell in love with it. I had no idea the power of it until you're standing on or sitting on the beach and those waves are crashing and hitting that sand. And it's just like, it feels like thunder, you know? It's just really cool. So I just fell in love with it. And then after that, I've probably been over every ocean except the Arctic and the Antarctic.
How come you haven't gone there yet? What's holding you back?
I'm trying. USO asked me to go up and do I think they have a station, some military up in the Arctic that they want me, or Antarctic or whatever it is, one of the coldest freaking ones. And they're like, we've got like 5 guys. You want to go up there and do a performance? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Hey, that's another one you check off of. I joke because, been up to Vancouver Island. This is where you really realize, like, the further you get north and south, how summer is very cold in those spots. And I'm like, I still got to get further. I'd love to get to Alaska and a little bit further, but I've been, to Chile, Puerto Natales, but like a couple hours away from the Antarctic, and like summertime there is like a high of 50, with a breeze, and it blows my mind when you get to travel and experience those things. Right?
It's so fun, man. I try and encourage everybody, and everybody's like, it costs so much. I'm like, well, you got to figure out ways to where it doesn't cost so much, to go do some of these things. And I've been blessed to have that guitar that's taken me all over this place, man. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be able to afford to go on some of these places either. But it's taken me to the nooks and crannies of this planet that I never in a million years thought I'd ever get to go see.
I'm hoping to get to more, and as I've learned, outside of the flights, sometimes you can get some good deals, and domestic and international are not that far off on cost, folks. I will say, say that.
It's true. They've got deals right now because I'm going to Australia in October. I think
I'm jealous.
Fly to Australia.
By the way. Just jealous.
Dude, I've been wanting to go since I was like 8 years old. So this is a dream come true. I've gone to New Zealand 3 times, and we always clipping the edge of Australia, and I'm like, dang it, I want to go. But I think you can fly over there in coach for like $800. But
it's a long flight, there, but still.
Hey, you'll wind up looking like a pretzel when you get there, but hey, it's gonna be fun.
Hey, and you'll have a good time, and I enjoyed listening to your album, Book About Me, because like I know we've talked a little bit so far. It's talked a little bit about all the different things that you've done. You talk about growing up in the small town in Nebraska, Farmhand, kind of the first taste from that album. Why did you want to go with that? How personal was it? And what can you talk about that you hope it kind of conveyed and kind of set the tone for everything?
Well, to me, Farmhand is literally one of those life lessons that you learn as a kid when you see your dad or your mom or somebody shaking hands, making a deal, and that was your contract. I mean, that was literally your contract. If that handshake didn't mean anything but a handshake, then you're just not a decent person. Now, and that's when I learned for the first time it was all about that handshake and, firm grip, looking in the eye, and that was it. You do what you say you're going to do, and that was the whole thing. You work hard for a living and you make it work, whatever it takes, and that's how we grew up as kids, and I just wanted to write kind of about that story, and add on to it. And Nate Kenyon was a great co-writer on that song, and he actually brought the idea to the table. He said, hey, I got this idea about writing a song about Farmhand, and then I was like, oh my God, wheels started turning. I'm like, this is perfect, So yeah, he's a great one. Keep your eye out for that kid. He's gonna go places.
Well, and you showed yourself a little bit too, when A Cowboy Prays, another significant track off the album, with Forrie, Jay Smith from Yellowstone. Mm-hmm. How did that collaboration come to be, and what was it like recording with him? Even setting up a studio in his living room in New Mexico, is that right? Yeah,
he's got a ranch in New Mexico. And so, backtrack a little bit, I wrote this song with Justin Lance, that amazing songwriter buddy of mine. And, I'm not a cowboy, obviously, but I grew up around cowboys, and I go to cowboy church and stuff like that. And I even wore a cowboy hat once in a while. Before it was like the in thing to do, right? Like everybody who's never been a cowboy is now a cowboy. Thanks, Yellowstone. I think they're the ones who started that trend. And so I wrote that song, and I've been playing it for probably a year. and I'm doing it out at the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo in Vegas, and I'm doing a show for the RFD-TV, I think. So they have a stage set up in Cowboy Christmas where there's like 500,000 cowboys and cowgirls out there shopping their brains out for everything Western. And we're doing a live performance in the middle of that, and Forrie actually has an autograph line going not more than probably 20 feet from the stage. And I'm doing the interview, and I'm singing the song, and I get halfway through the chorus. He stops his autograph line, and he comes and sits down right in front of the stage and just listens to me. And every time I'd say, "When a Cowboy Prays," he'd be like, "Yeah, Cowboys, Cowboys." And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. So I said, "Hey, man, you want to come backstage?" And we got to talking backstage, and he's like, "Man, I just really love that song. I love, everything about it. You just paint the picture of the cowboy lifestyle." I'm like, "Thanks, man." And I apologize. My wife's beeping in here. I don't know how to shut it off. And he goes, I said, "Any chance you want to do a version of it?" Because I knew he was did cowboy poetry. And he's like, "Are you kidding?" He's like, "What do we got to do?" He's like, "Do I need to fly to Nashville and record?" I'm like, "No, man, we'll come to you if it's easier." He's like, "Yeah, here's my address." And I showed up a few weeks later with a little portable
You're like,
studio.
"Wait, is this real? Did you just give me your
Yeah.
real address?"
Yeah. And I was like, I'll show up and we'll make it really easy. Flew in, me and my wife flew in, we rented a car, drove to his ranch, set up a little portable studio in there, his living room. And he lives in a true cowboy adobe house, something you see in the backwoods of Mexico. It's the coolest thing in the world. And we set up in his living room there, and he recorded it. Man, he just knocked it out of the park. He's got that perfect narrator voice, and just a perfect story voice, and such a great, great guy. And we struck up a great friendship after that, and then we did a USO tour here recently down on the border, and he invited me to come and do it with him and Lance Carpenter, another amazing songwriter, good friend, and we had just the greatest time. So I'm trying to get him to come, and maybe we can do a Grand Ole Opry debut with that song for him to be on his debut. So we'll hope. I'm working on it.
No, I mean that's awesome, and I know for you too. Like, you talk about that. While you may not be a cowboy, by nature, but you enjoy the outdoors. You enjoy the conservation. You enjoy all of that, and you've spoken also about your faith. A little prayer with your band before shows. How do you kind of balance that, or how does maybe music and faith and everything kind of combine?
It's all goes hand in hand. I don't think you can have any of them without the first one, and that's faith for sure. If you don't have the good Lord kind of guiding you and keeping you in check, and because in this industry, you get tempted a lot with not only temptations of the flesh, but temptations of drugs and all sorts of other things. And oh, come over here because this is going to be better. You got to go away from that to make this. This is going to be way better, and then you just got to keep that faith and keep that straight and narrow going, and pray that you're on the right path. And if you don't have God in your pocket, man, I don't know where I'd be if I didn't have God in my pocket.
I was gonna say you've been doing this for a couple years. I'm just gonna say that a couple.
This is my second year.
Second decade, second year.
Yeah, exactly. I've been doing it since I was born. I feel like.
From you talked about your last album before Book About Me was 2017. You've been putting out, I think, new music since the early 2000s. I mean, how much has everything evolved? How much have you evolved even since those days leading up now to Book About Me?
Man, with social media and all that stuff that's going on, it's changed the game dramatically, first of all. And I wouldn't even know where to start if I was just getting into it, I mean, I felt like
you're not going to do those TikTok dances and all that?
Dude, don't even get me started on that. It's hard enough keeping up with all the trends and all that stuff. You kind of just put your blinders on and be like, man, this is me. I'm not going to shake my butt, and I'm not going to do this and that. And I just got to keep doing what I like to do, and hopefully people like what I do, basically. I know you gotta kind of succumb to some of those things, but it's just like information overload all the time, to where when I first started out, it was like, hey, get your tail on the road and start meeting people, shaking hands, and playing in every club that you possibly can, and don't say no to anybody, say yes and figure it out later. and that's what I grew up doing. I'm a road dog, man. I love being on the road, and I hope that never changes.
Well, I mean, it's crazy to think, you started out in a hometown of 44 people. Is that right? 44. Am I correct on that?
Yep. Yep.
And famously, they held a concert, raised some money for you.
Podcast.
To send you off to Nashville. Hi, wife. And when you think about it, you talk about everything from your faith to your family, all that, but community too. Growing up there, in Nebraska, in that small town, how important was that? From one making, basically giving you that leg up to get to Nashville to, probably all the support all these years later.
Man, it meant the world to me. I literally was, trying to save up just to figure out how to go. And so when, had this idea in my head, I'm finally going to move to Nashville. It was just, let's go, let's do it. And then I said, hey, I brought all my friends, and we did a little kind of a mini Opry in my hometown. And like you said, some of the women made some quilts and like baked goods and paintings and auctioned them off. And we sold as many tickets as we could. I think it was a free will at the door, so it was like, hey, whatever you can afford. And just give me $1, that's great. Give me $100, that's even better. It's all that kind of stuff. And and it literally helped me figure out that when I moved to Nashville, I went and I was like, hey, I need a new pair of boots. I'm already wearing the soles off these things. And I went in there, and this guy who was selling me his pair of boots looked at me and he's like, hey, you're here for music, aren't you? And I'm like, yes, sir. He's like, well, I'm going to give you some advice whether you like it or not. He's like, you need to make Nashville your home and decide that this is exactly where you're supposed to be. Because at the end of every month, 98% of the people that used to come to town will give up and go home. He's like, don't be a statistic, stick it out type of thing. And that's what I would still tell to people these days. If you're coming to Nashville, make it your home and dive in and live it and love it and be part of it. And if you're going to do it from your home, your couch, which you can now, you can do it from your couch. Do the same thing, man. Show up every day. That's the hardest thing. You got to show up every day.
I was going to say, I think are you reading my mind? Because that was going to be one of my questions. A little later on, though, is to those aspiring musicians that come from a small town like you did. Obviously things have changed. Since you went to Nashville, but like that advice, that will to keep going. How important is that? Because it's not a straight line journey. It's got a lot of dips. More dips than ups, and so much that goes on.
Yeah, so I started making the analogy when for the people that play golf out there. I like to play golf. I'm horrible at golf, and I'm more of a cart driver and drinker when it comes to golf.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
I feel like it's the game of golf, because you will hit 1,000 terrible shots, but you'll hit that one shot and you'll be ready to give up, but you'll hit that one good shot and you'll be like, oh, that's how you do it. Oh, oh yeah, I can, okay. And you kind of keep going that way. But it's like you just got to take those small victories and hold on to them and keep crushing it and keep doing what you're doing.
Well, I mean, I like to say, as a golfer, I totally get that, because golf's a 4-letter word, and there's good days and bad days, probably more bad than good. But one good song, next thing you know, you're back at the right again, and
Exactly.
For you, thinking back, as we've talked in past episodes, you started out in a few different bands. I feel like everyone starts out in a band. Yeah. I don't know how many do, a rock cover band, a worship band, and a country band all at once, but you did.
Why not?
you did that. But I mean, how did kind of maybe playing all those different genres, enjoying those different types of musics, really help influence you as an artist, show some versatility, and maybe help your songwriting in the process?
I mean, you said it right there. It helped with all those things. Singing all types of different songs, from the big rock songs to the old traditional country songs to the worship songs. And if you think about it, like Christian worship music feels like that almost 80s to early 90s rock used to be, right? It has that big anthemic choruses and those intimate verses, and and if you listen to a lot of this new record, it has a lot of that. Like, you'll see the kind of the lulls in the verses, and then they'll hit the stratosphere in some of the choruses. And that's just something I grew up on. I just loved it, and I'm just going to keep doing the same thing. That's just my formula. That's what I love to do. So all those genres kind of helped form that way that I've been doing stuff. Yeah.
Well, and you talk about, the guitar has taken you very many places. Before, though, you played the guitar, drums were something that you really enjoyed. Do you think, one, do you think the drums would have taken you as far as the guitar? And two, why did you switch to the guitar?
Oh, gosh. Drums would have definitely not taken me as far, that's for sure. Because I always said I knew how to play the drums. I was never a drummer. I mean, when I used to sit behind the kit, I could play the drums, no problem, keep perfect time. And that's what that's what basically glued the rhythm inside me, was learning how to play the drums. So I had that perfect timing, perfect rhythm. But I was never a drummer. I could play the drums. And because once you sit down with a drummer, you're like, oh yeah, no, that's not me. They're good. I had 2 left feet, that kind of thing. But I switched to playing guitar because, first of all, it was easier to carry around. And I just thought it was cooler at the time. I was pretty young when I picked it up. And the jazz band in our high school didn't have a guitar player, and they had drummers lining up. Well, in that little school, there was only like 2 other drummers, so that was our line.
Spot 1 and 2 were taken.
Exactly. Oh, I was number 1 drummer, so I was like, hey, why don't you guys take it? I'm going to learn how to play guitar, and that's when I started playing guitar.
In my head, I really just, you talk about, obviously they got guitar cases that you can take around the world. I just wish I could see you take a drum case around the world to all your adventures.
Well, you can now, and it's it's made by Toka, I believe, and it's like a suitcase drum. It's not a cajon, but it literally looks like a suitcase with a kick drum in it, and it opens up, and it's got a snare drum and a cymbal and a hi-hat, and you put it all together, and it's this little bitty miniature trap kit. It's pretty cool.
See, I learn things as I have these conversations, but I was picturing a lot bigger than that. But I do see how far technology has come that we can now just have a suitcase of drum.
And it sounds awesome. So when I'd go out and do a power acoustic set, my drummer would bring that along, and your sound guy, if you have the right sound guy, they can mic that thing to sound like a stadium kit, man. And you're sitting back there, and people are like, "What? Where are these drums coming from? Because it ain't that thing." Yeah, man. I went on tour with Justin Moore a couple years ago, and we did a power acoustic set before his big show, and that's what we had on stage. And man, the sound guys had that thing rocking like a freaking.
They probably
Van Halen. Yeah, it was awesome.
I was gonna say, they were like, "This is fun. I get to do something cool instead of just hooking up a bunch of cables. I get to make something sound amazing."
Yeah, and they did too. It was a fun tour.
Well, and you talk about getting to travel just a little bit. I mentioned at the top of the show, Hoge Wild, season 6 out now, debuted at the end of June.
Yeah.
What's it like going hunting, fishing, diving? So many different adventures across the globe. Why did you want to do that show to begin with?
Well, again, it all goes back to my roots growing up in that little bitty town. That's just what we did as kids, hunt and fish and have a great time. We'd trap before, football practice and come check our traps when we come home at night after practice. And it's just something I just love doing. It's part of me. I love the conservation aspect of it, trying to keep herds and stuff alive for that many generations to come. We'll have to be able to take advantage of it as well. And you want to curate as many people and bring them into the fold as well who might not understand hunting and fishing. And I love trying to bridge that gap and make people make sense of it if they don't know anything about it. So it's kind of the tenfold. But primarily it was when I'd be out doing shows and concerts and stuff, everybody's like, "Man, I hear you like to hunt," or "I hear you like to fish, and man, you should come with me sometime." I was look at him, I'm like, right there, stop. If you're inviting me, I'm going to come every single time. And this one guy he's like, "I'm inviting you. If you want to come, you can be here in this date and bring your bow, and we're going to go elk hunting. You buy a permit down at the JoJo's pawn shop down there or whatever, and you meet me up here." And I met him up there, and man, we had the best time. And next time I was like, "Hey, next time I'm bringing a camera," and it's time to start building from there. And my wife Laura is so good with partnerships and brands and things like that too. And it takes an army to make a show like that happen. So we decided to create Hoge Wild, and we've taken it into six seasons so far, which that's 60 episodes, and we're already filming for season 7.
Well, I mean, like when you think about that, like one, that's a lot of time, that's a lot of effort, but there's a lot of cool places you get to go. Like,
Oh
do you
yeah,
ever pinch yourself like on some of those places you get to go?
dude, all the time, man. This one particular was we were just in Istanbul last October, and these episodes are finally coming out here in the next couple weeks. And I met this guy. His name's Hakan. He's a Turkish man, and a friend of mine introduced us years ago, and then we started talking. And he helps put these huge adventures together, but he also has a fleet of ships. And when I say ships, these things are 120 to almost 220 feet old wooden sailboats, yachts, beautiful, beautiful ships. And we decided to work out a deal, and it was 100 and I want to say 150-foot sailing yacht, and all wood, made there in the Turkish Isles. I mean, just a gorgeous boat. The only ones that designed like this, where it has the dining facility on the top deck in the center, protected by the waves and the winds and all that stuff. And it's just the most beautiful boat I've ever been on in my life. And we would port and we would go hunt. So whoever wanted to go hunting could come hunting. We'd go hunt wild boar, we'd go hunt chamois and stuff like that. So we'd port, and then we'd take a few days and go up in the mountains and we'd hunt chamois. And then we'd get back on the boat and we'd sail around and splash around and have fun and seeing the sights and all the ruins and just the craziness over there. And then we'd stop and we'd go hunt wild boar at night, up in the mountains of Macedonia or Istanbul. And it was just an insane trip. And I was on the mountain in Macedonia, and I started hearing military fire going off, like cannons and guns and tanks and stuff like that. And I said, "Is that Kosovo over there?" He's like, "Yeah, Kosovo's just right there." It's like, "Is that?" And I said the name of the base, and slipping my mind all of a sudden. And I'm like, "Dude, I was there in 2009 in that base, and we were flying over the mountain range that I was sitting on." I remember I'm holding my guitar in a Black Hawk going, "Man, this place is gorgeous. I'd love to come over here and hunt one day." And then all of a sudden I catch myself going, "Man, I'm here hunting, looking at the Black Hawks flying over." And I was like, "What is going on, man?" It's one of the coolest moments I've ever had, because I was like, dude, it's just cool.
I know where I'm at. I know
Yeah.
where I'm at on the map.
Yeah.
Where most people would not know where I'm supposed to be on the map. I know
Exactly.
where I am.
Yeah, that, and it's just like I felt like when you start thinking back, you kind of feel like you manifested these things, and especially something like that, you're like, man, I wished and hoped that I would come back one day carrying a rifle to hunt these mountain ranges instead of this guitar, and it was a full switch. It was the coolest thing in the world.
And then you get to share it with everyone, and
Bondsteel, Camp Bondsteel. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Sorry, to interrupt you.
No, and you talk about specifically the conservation part of all of this, because if people look at history, you can see what happens when you don't kind of have that mindset. Why did you kind of want to have that aim with Hoge Wild, with conservation and hunting, because they can go hand in hand? And how do you hope that viewers are picking that up through the show?
Yeah, well, I mean, they are hand in hand. I mean, there's no hunting without conservation. Hunters are the ultimate conservationists. So if it weren't for us hunters, half these herds would not be here. There definitely wouldn't be no North American turkey, that's for sure. Because if it wasn't for hunters and organizations like NWTF and those kinds of organizations that help bring those herds back to life, there would be no turkeys at all. And same thing with some of the other stuff, other herds out there and different animals and species. So, I mean, if hunting is biblical, hunting is also the way of life for so many of us, but it's also a way of life for all these animals out there that, it's the truth about conservation is that you have to hunt them to keep them healthy, to keep them continuing to grow. It's just like when you prune a tree. If you think about it, when you take a tree, it's got a dying branch or it's got a disease over here or something like that, you got to prune that thing so that it will grow and flourish again. It's very similar. I mean, that's probably a really rude analogy, but I mean, it's all those things kind of go hand in hand. So you can't have one without the other.
No, I love that, and it's cool to see that, through the show you're doing that, and I also know you get to to pull some fun people on some of these trips as well. So
Yeah.
with that in mind, what can you tell people without giving away too much on either this season or maybe next as you're working on it, of some fun things that have happened and some stories you can share from Hoge Wild?
Oh, absolutely. Well, coming up is my first ever Hoge Wild Heroes episode. So we started this thing this year called Hoge Wild Heroes, where it's all funded by charitable donations through Hoge Charitable Foundation, which anybody can give to, hogecharitablefoundation.com. And it's a complete 501c3, 100% tax deductible for your donation, all that stuff. So when we have the funds available, we will take either a wounded active soldier or a retired veteran of some sort, a Gold Star family kid, a paralyzed veteran, it doesn't matter, first responders, whatever it takes. And we have our first Hoge Wild Hero hunt. I took him on a gator hunt with my buddies Bill Peterson and David Hansen, and got this guy some awesome gators. I can't wait for everybody to meet this guy. He was a medically retired state trooper out of Atlanta. You'll probably know his story. He was hit and drugged by a drunk driver as he was pulling over another drunk driver at the time. So he was stopped on the side of the road, giving this person a ticket, doing sobriety tests, and then another driver hit him and trapped him under the car and drug him for almost a mile, almost tore him completely in half. And him to tell the story, he doesn't like talking about it very much. It brings, I think, a lot of PTSD back. So I think we're going to have to do an interview with his wife to get a little more in depth with it. But it's a pretty incredible, and the guy's just kind of got a fire for life, and just a really cool dude to be around too. So it's pretty cool to be able to bring people like that on the show now, and we're going to keep trying to raise money so we can do that for a lot of these heroes out there that deserve to do what we get to do.
Well, I mean, you talk about giving back and the USO stuff, so many different things. I know your official spokesman for Guardian Angels of Soldiers Pet Charity as well. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so that came about on going on these AFE and USO tours. So a lot of times people don't know when a serviceman or woman is being deployed and they have an animal at home, whether it's a cat or a dog or a gerbil, whatever. A lot of times they'll have to surrender that animal if they don't have another family member to take care of it, or a friend or whatever. So if they're a solo person, they have to find a place to put that animal. And a lot of times they'll have to be surrendered, and that animal will end up being put down, unfortunately. So Guardian Angel Soldiers Pet was started up to be a sanctuary for those animals. That anybody, if you're being deployed, they'll take care of that animal. They'll put it in a foster home until you get home, and that's when you see those reunite videos and the animal just freaking out because mom or dad's back. It's pretty cool.
Well, and you talk about whether it's the show, or music, whatever, supporting charities, humanitarian efforts, the military families, first responders. Why is that something so important to you?
Oh gosh, I just feel so blessed in this life to be able to get to do what I do. That throughout the years, I met so many amazing people that have sacrificed so much for us. All of our military that goes over there, first responders, all of them. It's just it's a whole different way of life, and it's a whole different mentality. And I wasn't wired to do that, but I was wired to give back to those people, I guess, if I could. And I guess we both need each other in some way, shape, or form. So I'm going to keep trying to give back to them as long as I possibly can. And we're actually working on some more troop tours as we speak. I'm hoping we got some cool things. Forrie wants to do another one. he got bit by the bug, so now he wants to go back and do another one. So we'll see if we can do some more.
I just want to see if you're going to go to the Arctic Circle and perform for 5 people.
Hey, I would do it. I'm in, man. As long as I get polar bear hunting, I'm in.
Hey, I've heard that is a wild thing, walking from building to building up there with them.
I can't even imagine. Those things are monsters, dude, and they just blend in like nothing. Crazy.
And talking about kind of going back to Hoge Wild, talking about all the different places you've got to go. Whether it's New Zealand, Alaska, Macedonia, all these different places. How many places do you still have left on your bucket list to still go?
All of them. I got to go to every place twice, man.
Fair enough.
No, Australia was definitely a bucket list lifetime thing for me. Spain is another one that I get to knock off my bucket list for next year. Going over there to film a few episodes, and that's going to be really exciting because I've always loved that culture and loved all the stories and seeing, when J. Allen Smith would go over there and do a show, or Shockey would go over and do a show. I'm like, man, those ibex look so cool. I'd love to go, run them around the mountain a little bit. So, and then obviously the wine culture over there is pretty insane, and the food alone. I love food and I love wine. So to go where some of the oldest wine was ever made, I mean, how do you say no to that?
That is fair. And, I also got to ask, with all your travels everywhere, I think about, the last episode, last time we talked, I think about the Coke can, shaking the Coke can, and weren't sure what was in it and all that. But I mean,
that was weird, right?
Yeah, exactly. That darn piece of ice got you in the end.
Oh, it got me.
But I mean, obviously doing stuff like this, going different places, different customs, different cultures, just traveling alone. I mean, trust me, I've learned a lot of different things along the way. Any fun stories you can share from your travels, whether it's as a musician or as an outdoorsman?
I mean, gosh. Most of them you can watch on the Sportsman's Channel. I'm trying to think if there's anything that didn't get caught on camera, honestly.
Or maybe your favorite one that you just always look back and go, I can't believe I did that.
So almost every single one, honestly, I always look back and go, I can't believe I got to do that. One of the coolest one was when I was in the Grand Cayman Islands, and I was doing some wreck diving down there, and one of the wreck dives was called the USS Kittiwake. It used to be I can't quote me on the actual knowledge behind the ship, but I think it was like a troop carrier kind of ship, a steamer ship of some sort back in the day, and they sunk it down there as a reef, and a storm. So it used to sit upright to where you weren't allowed to go and dive in it because you had to have cave certification and all that stuff. But then a storm came and tipped it over and it's laying on its side. So now anybody can dive in it for some reason. I don't know why. But so we got to dive through that whole thing, and I've got my mass cameras on. I've got GoPros all over me. I've got them on my tank and stuff. So you can see almost 360 degrees if you really want to look in YouTube and see some of those videos. But I remember getting an Instagram message from a guy. He's like, I can't believe I got to see this. I haven't been on that ship since I was the guy like shoveling coal into the engines. And I was like, what? I didn't know it was like people were still alive that were part of that ship. I didn't realize how old it was, or not so that old, but I thought some of those little elements like that are pretty cool, or we'd be over doing a troop tour, and we'd be doing like little snippets or whatever, and somebody would catch it, and it's like, oh my God, that's my son in the background, or oh my God, that's my daughter in the background. Just those kind of cool little elements like that, those Easter eggs, I call them, that are really, really special.
I was going to say, I mean, I talked to a lot of artists about this. Those connections you make, whether it's music or even the outdoors now, for you, that you don't, for you it's just a way to, maybe it's, I don't want to say therapy, it's a way for you to express yourself, get that out there and so forth, and do stuff. And when people share those stories with you, how impactful, how powerful are those things?
Oh, absolutely impactful, man. I mean, they'll inspire me to either, write a great song, or they'll inspire me to go back or dive into that particular spot and learn a little bit more that I wouldn't have been. I'd be like, oh, I would have never even thought to look at that or look at it in that way. So, I love talking to people about those kinds of things and letting them, give their 2 cents or their life experience in that situation as well. So, I mean, they all mean different things in so many different ways.
Now, are you like me? I've been watching some Nat Geo stuff, and kind of realizing I don't know as much history as I once did. How much down the rabbit hole do you go when you learn about these things? Like, how far down that rabbit hole are you going?
Man, I try to put the governor on it, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to give myself 45 minutes or an hour, and I'm like, if I can't learn what I need to know in this time frame, most likely other people don't need to know it either. So I try and hit the cliff notes and find those interesting pieces, and maybe find a nugget here or there that people are like, oh wow, I didn't know that happened there, or I didn't know you could do that, or whatever, or I didn't know it only cost you a couple $100 to do that, or something like that, where, you know, we are going on a lot of these crazy extravagant hunts and trips and stuff like that, but if you boil it down, there's multiple things that are very similar that anybody can do. I just happen to fall into the right, you know, deal with this outfitter or this person who was able to take me along for the ride. Like, I wouldn't have been able to do some of these hunts if it wasn't for my buddy Randy Harden. I mean, this guy travels and hunts all over the world, like 3 times more than I do. And he's like, hey man, you want to come on this hunt? And my buddy canceled it and it's already paid for, so you just come along, bring your camera guy. I'm like, deal. I'll be there. I'll just pay for my travel. You know, it's those kinds of things. I've been very fortunate to have those kinds of things happen. So, but if you really wanted to do some of these things, it's like anybody can do them. Honestly, anybody at all. If it doesn't cost that much, really. That's kind of the cool thing about it.
Well, and I think that's what's so fun about what you get to do and what you get to share now. Something that, you know, doesn't cost anything, but, you know, not everyone gets to do. And what you're hoping to get, you know, Forrie to is, you know, an Opry debut for him. Yours was in 2017.
Yeah.
You also achieved your first #1 album then as well. You know, when you look back on stuff like that, you know, when you get to actually take a second and look back at everything, what was it like to do that and step in that circle?
Every time I get to do it, it almost feels like the first time every time, honestly. I got to do my debut at the Ryman, the original Grand Ole Opry. It just so happened to be, you know, still at the Ryman at the time, and it was super cool, super cool. I mean, it's hard to even describe it, honestly, because you're up there with all the ghosts of any past performer that's ever played in your life, and that can get really overwhelming, or you can embrace it and be like, I can't believe I'm here. You know, I'm home. You know, it's like I got invited to be home finally. It's that personal invitation from the country music industry that you're like, okay, I've been accepted. I've been doing this long enough that they finally like, hey, he deserves to be here.
He's okay. So, he's okay. We'll let him in. We'll let him in for at least one performance. See how it goes.
And then, you know, just I've been playing ever since, and it keeps getting better and better, right? Because the more comfortable you get in a situation like that, and the more people that you know, it does start feeling like home every time you go. Because from the janitors to the guy running sound and lights to the security guards, they all feel like family when you walk in there because they've been there forever, you know, and they're just all great people. I can't say one bad thing about any of them.
Well, and as I've gotten to, you know, talk to folks that, you know, have done their first shows, maybe a little more recent than you have, you know, they're like, it's kind of weird because, like, there's a crew with you on that first show, but also, like, you could walk in and meet someone that you're like, that's my idol, and they said hi to me. And, like how wild is, like, that whole thing? Because I know you do that to some degree with your show and stuff, you know, like, you're used to cameras around you and things like that. But, I mean, how wild is it to have, one, that, but also you never know who you're going to run into there.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about that place is that you really do never know, and it's kind of like everybody's green room doors open, so you never want to, you know, really bother them unless you kind of, hey man, just want to say hey, or whatever. But what's really cool is when you're sitting in your green room, and one of those guys comes over and is like, hey, great job, or hey, welcome to the Opry, and that's what's really cool. You can bust in on anybody and nobody's going to say nothing, but when somebody busts in on you, you're like, hey, thanks for coming in, man.
They know me. They know me. They really know me.
Exactly.
Well, and you know, for you, whether it's something as cool as the Opry stage, I know you do the Belize Songwriters Festival every May. What's it like to hit a stage, perform, whether it's something super acoustic, full band, all that? You're a road warrior, so you must like the stage.
I do. You know, and every stage is different, obviously, and you got to deal with a lot of different personalities when you're on the road as well, and that's a whole nother list of things that you have to deal with. But it's all part of it. You know, you got to take it with a grain of salt. But I'm finding that more and more I'm loving that more intimate, that more acoustic approach than anything. I love doing the big show, stage and lights. I just did a show down in Louisiana for the Sports South show with me and Jordan Davis, and there's 5,000 people there, and it was in the arena. It was awesome. And but I treat it just like I'm going to play a acoustic set on the beach for my festival in Belize. You know, I treat it the exact same way. I want everybody to feel like they're sitting in the living room with me, no matter if I've got a full band behind me or it's just me and a guitar.
Now, I've asked this once or twice, but can we record a podcast down in Belize, and can someone pay for it?
Yeah. If you come to Belize, you can record it all you want, man. We started that festival down there 4 years ago now, and man, it's really growing like crazy, and it's getting more and more fun every time we do it because we're getting into our groove now. So it's pretty great. We've had some amazing people on the show, and I'm telling you, if you want to come down, again, it's not that expensive to come down. And a lot of people don't realize that Belize is only an hour and 50 minutes from Houston. It's a super cheap Southwest flight right into Belize City, probably for like $350. And you can either rent a car or have a driver drive you to, it's an hour and a half drive, or it's a 15-minute plane ride, like a little jungle flight. Which is another $90, and then it'll get you right to the resort there, and then everything's basically 50 cents on the dollar when you get there. And if you don't eat at the resort, which the resort that we stay at is beautiful and it's amazing, but there's a lot of cool little local restaurants within walking distance. Everything is super cheap and reasonable. It's a fun place to go, and it's gorgeous, man.
That Belize is on my list. We'll see. We'll work on the podcast down there. Now, I always love it.
It's unbelievable.
I hope that's on shirt too. If not, it should be.
Everyone.
You know, at the start of the show, I always ask what your favorite drink is. Clearly, you're enjoying a little tequila tonight. Mm-hmm. I love asking this question toward the end because it's always interesting. Every artist is a little different. What's your favorite song of yours to perform live right now?
Right now, actually, it's going to have to be the song "Nowhere." When I'm with a full band, it's "Nowhere." It was written by, I didn't even write this song, but Drew Baldridge and my buddies Locash wrote this song, and I snatched it away from them, and it's probably one of my favorite songs still that I've recorded. But if it's going to be something off the new record, I'd say the song "Book About Me" is probably one of my favorite songs to perform. It's that intimate, literally story of my life that comes out, and people can, put it into their lives as well. I think if everybody really listens to the lyric, it's not about me at all. It's about the people around me that helped me get to where I am today.
I was gonna say a lot of people could see themselves in that song. I'm really sad you didn't say "Duck Blind" because I just love that song.
Good old Duck Blind, man. I was doing a songwriter tour with Philip Lammons and just what's his name, Kelsey Hart and Rebecca Lynn Howard, and we were in this beautiful marina. It was an old marina, and they had decorated it beautifully. So we had this little stage and everything. Everybody was super quiet, intimate lighting and all that stuff, and everybody's singing these romantic songs. We get to our last round, and I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. And this guy yells from the back of the marina at Quonset, so it echoes. He goes, "If you don't do Duck Blind, I'm going to kick your, la, la, la." I was like, well, hell, I guess I better do Duck Blind.
So romantic too, right?
Oh, yeah. It's a true love song.
Hey, it really is. And but I do love, Book About Me. It's a fantastic album. I've got to listen to it, before it dropped. Obviously now it's out. Folks really, really need to give it a listen because it's such a fantastic album. And obviously you've got a lot going on. Hoge Wild's out, album's out. What else can folks expect from you the rest of the year?
Well, I'm going to be pumping the crap out of this record. So everybody listening, go download it, stream it, pass it on, save it, share it, playlist it. But this season is going to be the best season of Hoge Wild as well. I mean, we're going to Macedonia, Australia, for Hoge Wild Heroes Hunt. But I'm also starting to work on the next record already, and it might have more of a sandy vibe about it.
Oh, so like a little fruity drink, maybe type thing.
Man,
what are we talking about
Go
here?
a little further than fruity drink, even. Yeah. So.
Are we talking Jimmy Buffett or no?
I can't say that I don't love some Jimmy Buffett. I love some Jimmy Buffett.
Well, Lucas, man, I love that you teased us with what's next. And folks, if you haven't, see what he's got out now, because one, the album's fantastic. If you haven't watched Hoge Wild, goes through some amazing places. It's a fun journey. Get to see a lot of different sides of different people. And man, thanks for sharing a drink with me and coming back for a third time, because I clearly we're friends now.
Heck yeah, buddy.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.